Welcome back into Momentous Struggle. So today I'm going to be starting a new ongoing series where I'm going to basically, when new boxes come out, update the existing list that I like to play and kind of sharing those existing lists with you. So to start, I'm going to go with the Separatist Alliance and the droid synergies that we have so far. So this is my take on the droid and Separatist Alliance strategies that are available to us now. This is going to be an update, basically taking into account the Appetite for Destruction box. So let's jump into it and see what I'm looking to play in. So to start, I think the best place to start when it comes to the Separatist Alliance is with the one, the only Count Dooku. Count Dooku is going to be the primary that I'm going to lead off with for my first team. And the first strategy that I want to take for my Separatist Alliance is going to be Count Dooku. He is the Separatist leader, so I think he is the most logical, at least lore-wise, most logical person to throw in here. So let's take a look at what he has to do with the Separatist Alliance, why he's going to be someone to take as far as a primary, and what he offers for synergies-wise, and why I'm leaning on him first and foremost. So starting out with Count Dooku, there's two things that I really like that Count Dooku brings to the table with the Separatist Army, the Separatist Alliance, and with the droid synergies in general. The first comes with his tactic ability, leader of the Separatist Army, and that is out of activation movement. Basically, he can take any Separatist Alliance character within range 3, and each character in that unit is allowed to dash. So basically you're taking, if you have droids, for example, if you're taking your B1s, then you can take your B1s and you can move both of them, dashing both of them forward to get them into a better position to shoot with that range attack that they have. So out of activation movement, definitely a big key thing here. That's what I really like about the first thing that I like about Count Dooku, Separatist leader. The other thing that I like is his identity ability, which is going to be at the bottom of the screen here, the brave but foolish ability. And this one helps out with regeneration of force, which is really awesome. But it also gives you, again, that out of activation movement, or what's even better, another thing that I like a lot too, is out of activation attacks. So basically, when a character becomes wounded, primary or secondary unit that is an ally to you, you do two things. You refresh 2 force, then you choose an allied Separatist unit. It doesn't have any range requirements on this one, which is really good. So any Separatist allied unit, supporting unit, regardless of range, and that one character in that unit. So now this is only going to be 1 instead of the 2 that you got with leader of the Separatist Army, but one of them can basically make either a movement or a 5 dice attack. Again, a dash or a 5 dice attack. So you're refreshing some force and you're getting out of activation either movement or attack, and you're already starting his activation also with out of activation movement. I like this a lot. I think that it's nice to help you with your movement and your model placement, getting your models placed into the areas that you want them to be placed in. So I really like that. I think that's going to be great to help us out a lot here. So I think that's the best place to start, and why I'm starting with Count Dooku is because of those key abilities that he has. Of course, he has his own abilities that jump in there as well, but looking at the synergies and the strategies wise of this is why I'm taking Dooku to start with. Let's go ahead and look at who's Dooku's secondary is going to be, though. So previously, when we had the Separatist Alliance, when we were looking at Wave 1, with Count Dooku, we were bringing Jango Fett, who was a really solid character. But I kind of want to dive a little bit more into my droid strategies now with these new releases. So I'm going to be subbing out our boy over here. I'm going to be subbing out our boy Jango. Like I said, I really do like Jango. I think he's a solid unit, but I want to try something a little different. So now I'm going to be looking at bringing in Kraken, new straight from the Appetite for Destruction box. I'm really excited to put him on the table. So he is going to be our 4-point cost character. So you know that our last character is going to be a 3-point cost one. Which one am I going to bring? We'll find out a little bit later. But let's go ahead and take a look at why I'm going to be taking Kraken instead of Django and what kind of strategies I'm going to be leaning into here. So Kraken is our second super tactical droid that we've seen in the game up until this point in time. Kalani being the first coming in the core box. I am a big fan of Kalani. But Kalani came in at 5 squad points or point cost. So he's gonna be the better of the two simply because of the additional cost. So he's going to have probably some better abilities than we see in Kraken, but I still think Kraken's worth putting on the table and playing a little bit. And here's kind of why. He's got 2 abilities that synergize really well with the droids again. The first is his tactic ability, which is do not let them escape. At the start of this unit's activation, you can choose a battle droid supporting unit. Each character in that unit may dash. So he has an ability similar to Kraken's, where Kraken was able to move all battle droids within a certain range. This one, the range restriction is gone, and then you can go ahead and just move one of those units. So you get to move both characters in that unit, be them B1s, B2s, Magna Guard, what have you, whatever you're bringing to the table, but you're not moving both of them like you could with Kraken. So instead of getting the 4 droid movement like I'm spoiled to have with Kalani, you only get the 2 with Kraken. But I still think that's good out of activation movement. Again, I think is amazing, really good to take. So that's why I'm looking at taking Kraken instead of. That's one of the reasons why I'm looking at taking Kraken over Django. But again, Django's really good. I don't know if this is the right move, but this is one I'm going to start with for the time being. The other one is his tactical network active ability. Now this one does cost a force, so this is where that ability that we see from Dooku, being able to regenerate force, might come in handy. So this is where you choose another allied battle droid. It doesn't just have to be a supporting unit, it just has to have that keyword of battle droid that we see. So another allied one. So he can't choose himself. And then that character has to be within range 4, and that character can dash, gain a hunker, remove a condition, or make a 5 dice attack. So basically this is something where you get to, the character dashes, then they can either hunker, remove a condition, or make a 5 dice attack. Again, like I said, out of unit activations, out of unit movement, out of unit attacks, all good stuff. Getting hunker if you need them to get them into cover and help them, so you can move them and hunker down to end up getting a little bit of cover there for if you need somebody to be a little bit more durable. And one of the things I like about all of the droids that we've seen is that on their combat tree, which I don't have up right here, but on their combat tree, they have that active ability that comes up. On Kraken's, it's 3 down the tree. So you definitely, if you go 3 down the tree, have 3 successes, you can just do this for free. But if not, you're paying the 1 force. And again, you can always get that back if somebody gets wounded through Dooku's ability as well. So that's kind of where I'm at with Kraken and why I'm bringing him. A lot, like I said, a lot of that out of unit activation, out of unit movement, out of activation movement, out of activation attacks, out of activation, with this case, a hunker token or removing a condition. And removing conditions can be solid because like I think a lot of us have started to learn, the disarm and the expose can be really powerful effects, and removing those without having to spend an action to do so, or potentially not having to use a force to do it if you can get this to come up on the tree, is really solid. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to be excited to take advantage of for sure. But that is Kraken. Let's take a look at who's coming with us as our supporting unit for this squad. So to finish up our last squad, we basically have to go with a 3-point cost supporting droid unit, and we have 2, one being the Magna Guard, the other being the battle droids. I don't know if it really matters which one we take over the other than the fact that your Magna Guard don't have the ranged attack. They're just straight melee. But that said, I do like the Magna Guard. I think they're pretty fun to play. They got a lot of out of activation movement and things along those lines, which I really like. That which I'm really kind of is a key thing that I'm leaning into with this particular unit, with this particular strike force and squad build and everything. So, but let's jump into here and take a look at what they're bringing to the table and why I like them. So, of course, the Magna Guard being that 3-point cost unit, we've seen them already through wave 1, and they've been probably seeing quite a bit of play within the droid synergies. So most people are, at least if you've been playing this particular strategy, are pretty familiar with them. They do have that keyword, the tag of battle droid and droid, so and Separatist Alliance, which is very important for the synergy effect of what we're looking for here. But why I really like these guys is because of a couple of things and a couple of the synergies that they have with the primary units that you're bringing them with. The first is their reactive ability of defensive protocols. So this is another out of activation movement. So whenever you have a primary Separatist Alliance character that makes a move action, one character from this unit can advance towards that character. So the long movement. So this is an out of activation long movement to get them close to that, to keep them in range of your primaries. And there's a very important reason why you want to do that, and that goes right into their next two innate abilities. It kind of goes in conjunction with those. So one is Defender. Allied primary characters and allied secondary characters within range 2 of this guy have cover 1. So they're going to get an additional dice as long as on their defensive side, as long as you have this guy right there in range with them. So that's really nice. And why you want that out of activation movement. So if you move a primary forward and you're keeping them to one of these guys close enough to move them forward as well, then you have cover right off the bat. And so I like that. I like that ability. The other one is Intercede. So while this character is not wounded, and enemy characters that are engaged with one or more of this characters cannot target allied primary characters or allied secondary characters with attacks. So if you get this guy up in there and he's engaged with somebody, they can't attack your other characters. They're kind of like, it's almost like a bodyguard effect if you're familiar with Marvel Crisis Protocol, where you basically, nope, you can't attack them, and basically forcing them to attack you, because that's the only thing they're going to be able to do with an attack action is attack your Magna Guards. So that's kind of why I like them. They're very bodyguardy. They're helping to kind of support your primaries and your secondaries. They're moving to stay in lockstep with them as you move your primaries up the board, so that your primaries should always be benefiting from cover and should always be benefiting from that bodyguard type of ability, as long as they're not wounded. So I do like them for that reason, and that's kind of why I want to bring them along, is to help keep my primaries and my secondaries from being taken off of the board. Because let's face it, the supporting units are the fodder of this. They're the ones that we're expecting to get hurt, and we're expecting them to kind of fall off the board. So I do like these guys to help keep my main character, so to speak, from getting hurt and getting removed from the board or getting wounded and injured, so that they're not costing more force to do these particular abilities. So I really like these guys. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at who our second squad is going to be. I'm pretty excited about these next ones. So who are we looking to bring in to our Strike Force for squad number 2? Previously, I'd been running Asajj Ventress, and she's amazing. I really do like Asajj. I don't know if I really want to take her out because I like her so much, but I want to give somebody else a little bit of a time to shine, see what they have to offer. So who could that possibly be? Well, I think everybody knows it's General Grievous. General Grievous is new from the Appetite for Destruction box. He looks pretty good. I really like the sculpt that came with him. He is an 8 squad point 3 force character, so overall strike force wise we're bringing 7 force total. I think we kind of all knew that was going to be the case, since I was looking at a droid strategy, not really looking to bring Anakin for that. But this is who we got. This is who I'm liking. I am enjoying the idea of playing General Grievous here. So let's kind of look at what Grievous has to offer as far as synergies for droids and why he's going to fit into this team that I am looking to build. Let's look at that. So our boy General Grievous, what does he have to offer us with this battle droids team? First off, he has another ability that starts on activation, another tactic ability. So there's a lot of tactic abilities that we're seeing that are droid centric for this build, of this particular Strike Force build. So his tactic ability is called Onward. At the start of this unit's activation, I can choose a battle droid within 4, and that character dashes. I think I'm beating this horse pretty dead at this point in time, whereas I say I like out of activation movement, and here's another way that we're doing it. It is just one character, it's not the whole unit, but it, again, out of activation movement is what it is. It's good. The other ability that General Grievous is going to bring to the table is his Appetite for Destruction innate ability. So after this unit makes a combat action, you can choose another allied battle droid supporting character within 3, and that character can dash. And then that character can make a 5 dice attack targeting the same character, same enemy character within range and line of sight. So keep a droid close to him, he makes an attack, and then automatically just another droid makes an attack. It's just there's no force involved with this from the start anyway, so it's just an innate ability that he has that just gives you a free movement and attack. Really like the ability. I think it's really solid that it gives you movement and an attack as long as you're keeping a droid close. So with all things with the droids, keeping your unit placement proper and where you're taking full advantage of it is going to be important, and that's going to be important with him. On a side note, another thing that I like about Grievous here is his identity ability. Another fine addition to my collection. So when he wounds an enemy unit, after the effect resolves, he can recover. So he's going to either heal 2 and he can recover twice. So he heals 2 damage, removes 2 conditions, whatever it is. But then if that wounded unit is a force user, he refreshes 2. So very flavorful with Grievous, where he is all about killing the Jedi, all about taking out the Jedi. So he gets benefits of refreshing force if he takes out a Jedi. So I do like the flavor of this one. There's some pretty nice abilities that he has here. But definitely some good synergies with the Onward and with his Appetite for Destruction. And again, he's a primary. He's pretty tanky. He's got that 11 stamina, 3 durability. So he's gonna be able to stick around and do a fair amount of damage, and can take a fair amount of damage. He can take a good hit. But if you're keeping the Magna Guard in range, they can end up taking that hit for him to keep him nice and healthy for at least the first couple of activations by your enemy, depending on the order in which you activate and everything like that. So really like Grievous here, really like what he's bringing to the table for sure. So with 8 squad points to play with General Grievous, there's a couple of different ways I can go, and I'm not going to really beat around the bush on this one. I'm going to bring my favorite secondary for this particular strategy, and I don't see any reason not to bring him, and that is going to be Kalani. Kalani, the super tactical droid at 5 point cost, is a pretty solid one, and I really do like a lot of the things that he brings. I've been playing him since the start. I don't see a reason not to play Kalani simply because of how good he is. But let's go ahead and jump in, just take a quick little look at his synergies for those who don't know why we like Kalani so much. So at this point in time, I think most people that have been playing this game have had some experience against Kalani, seeing how he's probably one of the better secondary units in the game. But I'll go ahead and run through pretty quickly what I like about him. Again, he comes into that 5 point cost, so it's going to limit the secondaries that you take. The supporting units that you take, but that's okay. I think I think he more than makes up with it for how good he is. We start out with his tactics ability, his Roger Roger. At the start of this unit, his activation, each allied battle droid character within range 4 of him can dash. So all 4 of the battle droids that we're going to be taking with us are going to be dashing as long as they're within range 4. So placement is key with this. You definitely want to make sure he's in range for sure, but totally very easy to do, and it's very easy to kind of keep an eye on where you're putting him. Very strong ability, moving 4 characters, dashing 4 characters, or 4 characters is pretty solid. He has his tactical network ability, which is an active ability, costs 1 force, but if you are able to get 3 down his stance tree, that ability shows up for free on there. So totally worth getting that ability off, and easy to get that ability off on the tree if you're able to get those 3 hits. So that if we can get 3 down the tree, definitely solid use of that there. Again, but if not, 1 force isn't that bad, and like we've seen with both of our primaries, really good abilities there to help us refresh force. So even if we have to use the force, it's not that going to be that painful for us at all. So his tactical network ability, basically another allied battle droid within range 4 can dash, and they can either gain a hunker token, remove a condition, or make a 5 dice attack. So an ability that we've seen before, but now we just get it twice, so twice as nice basically. So I do like that. I mean, I especially like getting it for free if I can get that attack off on him, but again, paying 1 force definitely is not that bad. And then his last ability that kind of goes in conjunction with our whole battle droid synergies. Again, it's battle droid, not just droid, so they have to have that battle droid tag, which we don't see on General Grievous. He does not have battle droid, but he does have droid. So when an allied battle droid character makes an attack, if it targets a character within range 4 of 1 or more allied battle droid characters, the attacking battle droid adds 1 dice. So keeping your droids within range of one another it helps add dice to your attack, so it makes them a little bit stronger by just having, and it's just an innate ability, just having Kalani on the board and making sure that you're keeping your battle droids within range of another battle droid, which range 4 on a 3x3 table is not that difficult. You can still accomplish all the things that you want to, especially with where these points are and everything along those lines. But that's why I like Kalani in this team. That's why I'm going to pick him up. And let's go ahead and then just take a look at our very last character that we're going to be bringing into the fold on this strike team. I'm sure most of you can figure it out pretty easily, but let's go ahead and take a look. So let's go ahead and close out this team here. Let's take a look at what we have to finish this off with. And basically, I'm sure you can figure it out. Looking at wanting to do the droid strategy and having Kalani as a 5-point cost, we can only really put one. There's only one other droid available to us at this time. That's the B1 battle droids. So let's go ahead and take a look really quick. I'm sure most people at this point in time are pretty familiar with what the B1s have to offer, but let's go ahead and take a look at what they are bringing to the table and why we're going to be bringing them instead of, I guess, the only other option that we have in this particular build would be the 501st. And so why are we going to be taking these guys over the 501st? Well, let's jump in and take a look. So really there's only one real reason that we're taking the B1 battle droids, and that's because they have the battle droid and droid tags, and that's going to be very important for this, especially with the synergies that we get with using both of the super tactical droids. So we really want to take them. They do have their combat AI protocols, which allows them after an allied battle droid unit makes a combat action, I can choose the target character that's within range 4 of all characters in this unit. So there is a little bit of movement control that you need to be taking into consideration, because these guys need to be within 4 of the targeted character, but it does give them strain or expose. So I do like this ability simply because I like being able to give out conditions. It's a really neat little add-on that you get just by having the droids. They can stay back in the gun line and do their shooting, but they can, and range 4 is going to be able to put them in close enough range to where they should be able to put this condition on, even if they are not too close and staying back on the gun line like we kind of want them to, because we really want to keep Kalani back. We really want to keep the B1s back. Kraken, he can probably get in the mix a little bit more, but keeping him back as well and just kind of sending everybody else forward is really kind of what we want to do. So I do like these guys. I do like that combat AI protocols. Being a supporting unit, they are a little squishy, of course, with only the 9 stamina to durability. And that's kind of why you want to keep them back on the gun line and just kind of have them shooting into combat more than just being the ones who are being in melee, because they are really not good in melee. They lose 2 attack dice and 1 defensive dice in melee, so you definitely don't want to have them up there. You want to have them back on that gun line, and that's really the strategy that I think most people are going to want to take advantage of when playing these guys. So let's go ahead and just do a final look at the strike force that I'm looking at playing, and have a look at maybe some other options if you want to make a couple of changes. So again, this is the strike force that I'm looking at playing at this time. The only thing that you might want to do that I think that wouldn't really destroy the strategies, if you wanted to bring the B2s in over somebody, you could end up switching out Count Dooku for maybe Asajj. I think she's not much of a downgrade there at all, to be honest. I think she's pretty solid just because of a lot, like her force push, that displacement is just really, really good. I think that if you wanted to replace Dooku with her and then replace the Magna Guard with the B2s to add more of a gunline strategy and having more of just your primaries getting up into the fight, I think that would be pretty good too. So I think that's a decent alternative if you wanted to go that way. Like I said, I'm going to probably play with these guys. My local gaming store is having our league starting up this week, so I'll probably start with this squad and then transition maybe for like 1 or 2 games in the league, and then maybe go over to the Asajj build just to see how I feel about that. I mean, and there's tons of other teams as well that I'm really excited to play and really excited to get on the battlefield and see how they play out. But this is where I'm going first. Definitely tune into the podcast if you want. I think not this next week, but the week after this. So this is recorded on July 10th. So I know the 17th, we probably, like both Aubrey and I that do the podcast together, we're not going to be talking about our experience in our league that week, but the week after, I think we're probably going to jump in and talk a little bit about our league play, how that went, and everything along those lines. Was it overall? This has basically been the strike team that I'm looking at playing. I am really excited to get, like I said, really excited to get these guys on the table. But as always, I do want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, watching, listening. Leave a comment below, subscribe, ring that bell. I do appreciate everything that you guys do. Any support, even by just a subscribe or a like or a comment, definitely helps out and lets me know that I am good to go and can keep going and doing what I'm doing here. So I do appreciate it. Again, thank you very much. May the force be with you.